How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about the differences between the Challenger and the Charger. So let's just get right into the video, guys. So the main difference obviously is that the Charger is a 4-door, the Challenger is a 2-door. So that makes the Challenger a little bit more sporty, and there's also some price differences, so I'm going to go over that right now. Like I said, the Challenger is a coupe, which makes it a lot less practical than the Charger. So they actually both do have 5 seats, but in the Challenger there's like no legroom in the back unless the front seats are all the way up. That's one big difference about the two cars. The Charger is more of like a family sedan, but with the Hellcat, obviously you get the 707 horsepower, which makes it an awesome family car. The Charger also has a bigger trunk, so you can fit stuff like golf bags and stuff like that in there. Even though the Challenger is only a 2-door sports coupe, it's actually really roomy inside. It's the roomiest muscle car you can get. It has a lot more room than a Camaro or a Mustang. So that's one advantage of having a Challenger over anything like a Camaro or a Mustang. But even the Charger has a lot more room than the Challenger. So now let's talk about the prices for these two cars. So the Challenger starts at around $27,000 and the Charger starts at about $28,000. So that shows you there's about $1,000 difference between the two. The Charger is a little bit more expensive. I'm guessing because it has more room, 4 doors, and it's just a more practical car. The two base models also come with basically the same features on the inside, like, I don't know, power seats, the 5-inch touchscreen and stuff like that. So you're really not missing anything with the two models if you're just comparing features on the inside. Not only is the base model Challenger cheaper than the Charger, but also as you step up the trim levels, cheapest V8 Challenger you can get is about $32,000 and the cheapest V8 Charger you can get is right around $34,000. So that's about a $2,000 difference between the two base model V8 Challengers and Chargers. When you go all the way up to the Hellcat models, the Challenger is right around $62,000 and the Charger is right around $66,000. So that's a little bit more of a difference between the two when you go up higher in the trim levels. I'm going to talk about some of the performance numbers and specifications. So the Charger and Challenger both come with the same engine. So the V6 option is the 3.6 liter Pentastar, and the V8 has the 5.7 liter Hemi, the 6.4 liter Hemi, and all the way up to the 6.2 liter supercharged Hellcat engine. Now for some of the 0 to 60 times, the Challenger actually is faster than the Charger. Obviously because it weighs less, it only has 2 doors and the Charger has 4 doors, so it weighs more. So for the V6 model, Challenger does it in about 6.2 seconds and the Charger takes 6.5 seconds to get to 60, and that's for the V6 model. For the 5.7 liter RT models, they actually have a tie. It's right around 5.1 seconds to 60 for the Challenger and Charger, so that's pretty interesting to me because I thought the Challenger would be consistently faster than the Charger just because it weighs less, but I guess it's not true for the RT version. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The Charger Hellcat takes 3.4 seconds to get to 60 and the Challenger takes 3.9 to get to 60. Now I'm not really sure why that is. Like I said before, I really thought the Challenger would be consistently faster than the Charger in all the trim levels, but I guess it's not true. I really don't know why it's like that. I think the aerodynamics of the Charger are a little bit better than the Challenger. As you can see, the Challenger is kind of like a brick, I guess. The air doesn't really flow past it as well as it does in the Charger. One big difference about the Charger and Challenger are that only the Challenger comes with a manual transmission. It's a 6-speed manual transmission. The Charger only comes with the 8-speed automatic. So if you really want to get a manual, you're gonna have to go with the Challenger. But if you really don't care, then it doesn't really matter which one you get. Now let's talk about the handling of the two cars. So obviously the Challenger is a boat, so it really doesn't handle that well around corners. And the Charger is also pretty much a boat, at least that's what people call it. And I understand why. They weigh a lot and they're really not that good at taking turns. If you haven't seen my video about how a Challenger handles turns, make sure to go check that out. I posted that a while ago. I don't remember how long ago. Most people say that the Charger actually handles a little bit better than the Challenger, but that's only because they're comparing it to other sedans. So obviously the Charger is going to be a lot better at handling than other sedans. But then they compare the Challenger to cars like the Camaro and Mustang, and obviously the Camaro and Mustang are better at handling than the Challenger because the Challenger is more of a straight line car and so is the Charger. But if you're just comparing the Challenger to the Charger, They pretty much have similar handling around turns and stuff like that. They offer similar grip, so there's really not much of a difference if you're just comparing those two cars. The Charger could be better around like a road course just because it has better visibility and it offers all-wheel drive, but I believe that's only for the V6 option, so I'm not really sure if you would be taking a V6 onto a track. Like I said, the visibility of the Challenger really isn't that great when you compare it to a Charger, just because of the huge hood, as you can see, and the shaker kind of blocks some of the view. Honestly, it's really not that bad. You get used to it pretty easily, so it doesn't really bother me. Like when I'm driving this car, I'm already used to it, so it's really not that big of a deal. But I've never driven a Charger, so I don't really know what to compare it to. But from what I've heard, the Charger does have better visibility than the Challenger. Also, the Challenger does have pretty bad blind spots, but it does offer a blind spot monitoring system, but this car does not have that. And as you can see, this huge pillar right here, that blocks a lot of the view. So that's where your blind spot is coming from. And obviously with the Charger, you have huge windows in the back because it has doors there, so you can see pretty clearly out there. Obviously, winter driving with either cars is not going to be good unless you have the all-wheel drive option. And I'm pretty sure they did release a Challenger GT, which is all-wheel drive, but that's only for the V6 option. So I guess they both do come with all-wheel drive. I know I said only the Charger does, but I know they just released a Challenger GT, so that would be good for winter driving. I actually did try to drive this car in the winter last year. I'll post that video right here. As you saw, it really didn't have any grip at all. I wasn't even on the throttle that hard. So just something to keep in mind. If you're going to be driving one of these cars in the winter and it's not a GT, you're going to have a tough time. So now let's talk about the back seats of each of these cars. So I know I've already touched on it a little bit in the beginning of this video, but let's go a little bit more in depth. Obviously, the Charger is going to have a lot more room in the back just because it's a 4-door and it's made to handle 5 people. The Challenger, it actually does have quite a bit of room in the back seats, considering it's only a 2-door. And it actually does have 3 seats in there. Most muscle cars like this can only hold 2 people in the back, and they really can't even fit in there to begin with. So the Challenger would probably win in its class, but if you're comparing it to the Charger, obviously the Charger is going to win. And since the Charger is actually made to hold people in the back seats, it does have more features like heated back seats, which would be really nice. Like I said before, the Charger does have more trunk space, but that doesn't mean that the Challenger doesn't have a lot of trunk space. It actually does have a pretty big trunk for what it is. It is a big car, it's a boat, so you would expect it to have a pretty big trunk, and it does. But if you're comparing it to the Charger actually does have a slightly bigger trunk. But if you're comparing the Challenger to something like the Camaro or Mustang, then the Challenger definitely has a bigger trunk. Now, if you're wondering about the fuel economy of the two vehicles, they basically have the same fuel economy except for the V6 models. The Charger does have a slightly better fuel economy, but only in the V6 model. So for the RT, the Scat Pack, and the Hellcat, they all have pretty much identical fuel economy. So if you want to get a V8 Challenger or Charger, then fuel economy is not really something that you're going to have to worry about if you're trying to use it to decide which one. When it comes to safety, the Charger actually is a little bit more safer than the Challenger, just because it has 2 extra features that the Challenger does not, which are the lane keep assist, which if you're like drifting out of your lane, it'll automatically correct it and go back into the right lane. And it also has pre-collision braking, so if you're about to crash, it'll brake for you. The Challenger is not available with those features, but it does have stuff like the blind spot monitoring system and simple stuff like that, but nothing like the Charger. So the Charger is definitely a safer car. So now let's talk about the reliability of the Charger and Challenger. If you're just comparing it to themselves, they're basically the same. They're pretty much equal. But if you're comparing them to other cars like the Camaro or 350Z, then it's pretty bad. So if you really want a reliable car, then you probably shouldn't get the Challenger or Charger. I'm not saying they're not reliable, there's just more cars out there that are more reliable, like the Camaro, for example. So it all really just comes down to your personal preference of what you like. If you like a big family car or just a small 2-door coupe, I mean, it's really not small, but a smaller sports car like this, the Challenger, it's really up to you. If you like taking your family on long road trips and you're going to be driving your sports car, then definitely the Charger is the better option. But if you don't really have a family, And if you want something more sporty, then I'd recommend the Challenger. With that being said, the Challenger is really good for long road trips. It's actually really comfortable. I have taken this car to Ocean City twice, and I've taken it on many road trips too, both like 4 or 5 hours long. Ocean City was 7 hours. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. So yeah, like I said, it really just depends if you want 4 doors, more room, or if you just want 2 doors and a more sporty looking car. So with that being said, I really hope this video helped some of you guys. If it did, make sure to comment. If you have any questions, also comment. I'll try to answer all the questions as best as I can. And make sure to check out some of my other videos on my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.